Hi guys, this is Anmol Talwar and welcome back to another video with Talent Catalyst AI, where we strive to give you industry-specific artificial intelligence knowledge which will surely help you grow in your career ahead. With a work experience of over 7 years, I have handled projects related to natural language processing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI across industries such as banking, pharmaceutical, financial, as well as marketing technology. So, let the learning begin. So, the topic of today's discussion is what is a prompt in generative AI. We'll be introducing prompt, we'll be defining it, and then we'll be moving on to the three major components of a prompt, right? So, let's try to introduce what a prompt is. Defining a prompt refers to a specific input or instruction provided to the Gen AI model or the large language model to guide its output or generation. What is generative AI model? So basically generative AI is a subset of AI which helps users to generate content. That content can be in any format: audio, music file, it can be a video, it can be an image, it can also be a code, it can be text, it can be anything based on the business problem at hand. What essentially prompt is doing, it's giving an instruction to that particular LLM or Gen AI model so that it can guide that LLM model or the Gen AI model to produce or to generate a certain output that is required for your business use case. That output can be any type of content that we just discussed, right? This input typically consists of one or more sentences or phrases that guide the model of what kind of content to produce. Let's say you want to produce a video. As a business use case, you want to produce a video for any, let's say, movie or any social media content generation. You'll ask the model specifically to create a MP4 format video for the particular use case at hand. This is what a prompt means: giving instructions in the form of text with one or more sentences or phrases that guides the model to produce the exact kind of output or the content you need to solve your business use case. So let's check this with using an example. How would you do that? What a prompt essentially looks like. So let's say you are a product company. Your goal is to create a prompt for a large language model to generate innovative concepts for a new product launch. You are a product company, there is a new product launch in your company, and you want an LLM to produce innovative marketing campaigns ideas for the new product that is being launched into the market. So let's say see how the prompt essentially looks like. Imagine you are a marketing strategist, right? In the first line itself, I, as a person who is trying to build a particular prompt, is instructing the large language model to behave as a person who is a marketing strategist, specifically saying because I want a product launch is why I need a I need to generate innovative ideas for marketing that particular product that is a new launch, is why I'm asking specifically the LLM to behave as a marketing strategist tasked to develop a compelling campaign for a revolutionary new smart home device. You're asking the LLM to behave as a marketing strategist and to create compelling campaign for a revolutionary, the product that you have is a new smart home device, right? The goal of this particular campaign should be that it should create excitement and drive pre-orders. So you're specifically asking the LLM to create a compelling campaign which has a goal of creating excitement in the market and drive pre-orders. So specific, right? Then it is asking the LLM to generate three unique and attention grabbing campaign ideas, specifically saying you want three of the ideas. Each idea should highlight the device's key features such as voice control, energy efficiency, security, and appeal to the tech savvy homeowners. So you see how the prompt is built. It is specifically initially saying that since it has to be a marketing campaign, a compelling marketing campaign, it is asking for the AI model to behave like a marketing strategist. It is giving the goal to the marketing strategist or the LLM to create a compelling campaign that should create excitement in the market and should drive the pre-orders and it's specifically saying that it should generate 3 unique and attention grabbing campaign ideas, which should highlight the features, the key features mentioned, and should appeal the tech savvy homeowners. So this is what a prompt is, essentially given to the large language model to produce or generate the output which is needed in the format that is needed or essential to solve that particular use case. Let's try to introduce what are the components of a prompt. There are 3 major components of a prompt, namely the first is instruction, the second is context, the third one is input data or the user query. Starting with the instruction, let's try to define these three, comprehend these three using an example. Let's say you are given a task of creating a chatbot which will specifically answer any questions, user related questions related to climate changes. Any question of a user related to climate changes or related topics will be answered by this chatbot, right? So the backend of this chatbot is, we have a generative AI model which should articulate the answers of that of those particular questions asked by the user. It should articulate them in a perfect manner, and the question should be related to any topic related to climate changes, right? This is the particular task. So coming to instruction, as we saw earlier, instruction basically it's instructing overall, giving an idea to the model what task has to be performed, right? It is asking the Gen AI model to behave as a climatologist and answer the question. Since it's a chatbot, it has to answer any user queries. It is asking the LLM to behave as a climatologist and answer any questions given the context. So coming to the second part, what is the meaning of context? So context basically is, in this particular case, let's say you have a document which specifically talks about climate changes and what leads to that, right? You have a document, let's say a big document with, let's say, lakhs of sentences which is specifically related to climate changes that you have come across on the web, and you want the model to answer the questions, any related questions related to climate changes in that particular chatbot with respect to only this document. Only this document should be referenced to answer any question related to the any question asked by the user in the chatbot, correct? This is what the context is, that particular document which you are asking of the model to answer questions only with respect to that particular document, specific document. Then coming to the third one, that is input data or the user query, that a query or the question with respect to this particular chatbot, we have this as a question the user is asking. This is the third component of the prompt. The question over here is what causes the climate change, or the question could also have been what causes pollution or anything related to climate changes, right? These are the three major components, and one point to note over here is these are the three major components, but not all of these three are needed for every application. We'll try to understand this, comprehend it going forward. Let's try to comprehend these three components in depth separately, because the quality of the output depends on the quality of the prompt that you are giving, and the quality of the prompt depends on understanding the three major components that make up a prompt, right? Starting with the first one, that is instruction. So instruction provides a clear directive to the AI model about the task it should perform. So as we saw in the example, it is giving a clear directive or the instruction to the model to behave as a climatologist and answer the questions. Because it's a chatbot, it has to answer the questions and also answer the questions within a given context, right? The instruction essentially says that the model should not, it defines the scope of that particular business problem that has to be solved by the generative AI and instructs the model to not go beyond that scope, right? The instruction specifies the action such as translate, summarize, answer or generate, and guides the model's behavior. In our particular example, we were asking the model, instructing the model to behave to answer the questions with respect to the chatbot use case that we had, right? So essentially it sets the high level objective for the generated content. The high level objective is act as a climatologist, right? Only answer the questions, that is because it's a Q&A with respect to a context given the scope, right? It sets a high level objective of what has to be done using that particular Gen AI so that the output that we have matches the expectations. Coming to the second one, that is context. Context offers additional information or background that helps the AI model to understand the specific requirement or constraints of the task. So in our particular example, we wanted to build a chatbot that should answer any questions related to climate changes. But the constraint in that particular task was that it should only answer the questions given the context. So what context does is, it is a document in our case that has all the information related to climate changes and the related topics such as pollution, etc., right? So it basically gives the specific requirements or the constraints. The constraint we had is that it should only research or search for the answer of those particular questions in the given document that has been provided. That is essentially the context. So it provides context or details related to the task or content generation, ensuring that the model response aligns with the user expectation. I'll give you another example. Let's say you are a student which is going to write the 10th class CBSE exam or any exam, right? For that particular exam, to pass that, you have a certain set of books that are given to you by the school, and all the questions that come in that particular exam are with respect to, or the questions are related to that particular book that has been assigned to you by the curriculum. So what the teachers expect is of that particular book or the curriculum defined only based on that particular knowledge, you have to write the answer. That is the user expectation or the teacher's expectation. If you go beyond the scope of that particular book or the curriculum for that particular exam, you might not match the expectation of the teacher. So this is what context means. In this particular example, the book or the curriculum for that particular exam is the context, and the user expectation is the teacher expectation of the answer from the student. It should only come from that particular book or the context given, right? Context can include topic information, input data, or any relevant details needed to complete the task effectively, that we have already seen in our examples, both of them, right? Coming to the third component, that is input data or the user query, right? Some applications require the input data that the model should process or use as the basis for generating responses. In our particular use case, we had a chatbot, right? A chatbot which generates answers with respect to any questions which are being asked related to climate changes or any related topic, correct? So for the model to generate any answer, we need to ask a question, or the user needs to type a question and press the enter button, right? That particular question in our use case is the input data or the user query, which is being entered by the user, and we expect the model to give an articulate answer with respect to that particular question asked, correct? Coming to another example, let's say we have another use case where we want to translate any language, right? Let's say we want to translate English to French. The sentence that we give the application, right, or the LLM model to transcribe from English to French, that particular sentence is the user query or the input data in this particular use case of translating text or translating language from one to other, right? This is the meaning of input data or the user query. Coming to the last topic, if you remember, while introducing the three components of the prompt, that is instructions, right? The second one is context, and the third one is the user query or the input also it is called, right? While I was introducing these three, I mentioned that these three components are not all needed for every application. It's not mandatory that every application with respect to generative AI should have these three components present in the prompt, right? To understand this, let's see three of these examples. The first one is, let's say we have that chatbot wherein we built a conversational AI which will help us answer any questions, help user answer any question related to climate changes. In this particular use case, the context that we had given or the document with respect to climate changes that we had given and defined the scope of the answers with respect to that itself, that is optional, right? If I don't give that particular document as a context and don't ask the model to only answer the questions within that particular document, it will give me the answers, but the only thing is it will not match the user expectations. Let's say the user does not expect the answers to be in that particular document, then the context, giving that particular context is an optional, right? Some of the instructions that we had given The first instruction was that act as a climatologist. The second instruction was it should answer the questions. The third instruction was within the given context the answer should be there. Some of the instructions are optional, that if I don't ask it to be a climatologist, I don't ask it to be a climatologist, I don't ask it to answer the questions in the given context, that will still work. But the user expectations or the answer expectations would not match, or the quality of the output would not be optimal or what is required. That is the only thing. But these are optional. Coming to the second use case, that is text summarization. Here the first thing instruction is necessary because we want to instruct the model to summarize the particular input or the document or the user input that has been query that has been given, right? So instruction is mandatory and the user query or the text that needs to be summarized is mandatory, but here context is not required at all. Coming to the third one, that is text translation. Again, the same thing. Here the instruction is required, saying we'll have to instruct the model to transcribe the text, let's say from translate the text from English to, let's say, French. We have to give the specific instructions that is mandatory for translation job, and the text that needs to be translated from English to text as an input should also be given. That is also mandatory, but the context over is not required. So given any application, it's not mandatory to have all these components be a part of the prompt. Some of the applications do not require a few components to be present as a part of the prompt. But given the use case, let's say chatbot, if a particular component is optional, giving that will essentially enhance the output, the quality of the output, and help match it to the user expectations. Like if we give the context in the chatbot particular example of climate change, if we give the context, it will help increase the quality of the answers and it will define the scope of the answers to the question, specific questions that are being asked by the user. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more such informative videos related to artificial intelligence. Thank you.